Did you know you can run LLMs and diffusion models directly in your browser on the client side? Welcome to AI Musings, where we talk about artificial intelligence in a relaxed format. In this episode, Living on the Edge. No one is more suitable to talk about inference on edge devices than Jason Mays, a literal windwalker. Jason is a web AI lead at Google, who has been at the forefront of emerging technologies for over 15 years. Join us as we venture into a secret room inside Google's San Francisco office to chat about the history of inference on the client side and how advancements in this area are already allowing us to run LLMs and diffusion models in the browser.
Welcome to the Broom Closet Lounge, where we'll be doing our podcast today. Going to enter over here, and in we go. So my good old friend from the old days actually helped design this room. He wanted some peace and quiet from all the busy Googlers, so they actually built it, which is pretty cool. So it's a nice little space to come to and do my coding and things like that. And then, just to be extra cool, he wanted to have a secret room in the secret room. So somewhere over here, there is a secret door. See if you can find it.
Where is it, guys? Where is it? I'm just gonna say that it's here through the door.
So the door is over here, of course. But how do you get in? Well, we have to reveal the treasure, of course. So
there's the map right there. There's the eggs, and in we go.
All right, let's get this podcast going.
Let's get it.
Cool. So, hey everyone, I'm Jason Mays. I am the Web AI lead at Google. And for those of you who don't know what Web AI is, essentially it's the art of taking a machine learning model and running it client-side in the web browser on your device. Now, the main key reasons you want to do that are essentially things like privacy, lower latency, no server-side waiting for the inference to come back from the server, and lower costs, of course, as well. So that's why we've seen a big growth right now in web AI usage, especially since 2023. But technically, our teams were formed back in 2017, I believe. So TensorFlow.js came out in 2017. That was probably the world's first production-ready machine learning framework that was running in the browser, based on the original TensorFlow library, but the JS version of it. Right. And of course, if you're running on device, there's no CUDA acceleration like you've got on the server side when you're running in a browser. So we had to do some interesting tricks with things like WebGL to do mathematics using graphics and all that kind of stuff. And also, as time progressed, like WebAssembly became more of a popular thing, so we can get faster performance on CPU. And most recently, last year, we've had like WebGPU come into play as well, which allows us to go 3 times faster or up to 100 times faster for some models on the GPU as well. So incredible times are here, and it's a very exciting time to be talking about Web AI, actually.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Absolutely. When WebGPU was released?
So officially, Chrome announced support in Chrome Stable last year in 2023.
Okay.
And towards the end of last year, they announced it in Chrome Mobile as well. So Chrome Mobile and Desktop now have WebGPU turned on by default.
Right.
And that is enabling some amazing stuff to happen, such as bringing Gen AI models to the browser even. So
right.
Yeah.
And so when did you guys start actually shipping the AI models onto the devices?
Oh yeah, so back in 2017, 2016 even, so before we had TensorFlow.js, we had something called deeplearn.js that was announced in 2016. And that's when they showed the potential of running a model in the browser. And this was more of a research toy back then. But then we realized people actually needed to do this for valid reasons, not just for the sake of showing off a model in the browser, but maybe actually using it for a production use case.
Right.
So that graduated to TensorFlow.js in 2017 and became more formalized then. That was originally set up by my friends Daniel and Nikhil, who founded that project in the research team over in Boston. I've then joined later after they've already made the basics of all of that. I now came to represent it in end of 2019, I believe it was when I joined the team to start getting developers to realize it exists and use it, and showing how it can be used in production and that kind of stuff. And since then, we've had exponential growth every single year, to the point I think we crossed 1.2 billion downloads of our Web AI models and libraries at Google over the past 2 years. So that's a big milestone for us. It's the first time we got to the billions of downloads there. So cumulatively over the last 2 years, we got to that. So
that is quite impressive, right? Like super geometric growth for people downloading the models. I remember when TensorFlow.js was released, and then the initial usage of it. But one thing that I did not see until we talked at the party that day was like the actual implementation of LLMs, right? It had not really crossed my mind due to mainly like sheer size of these models and GPU usage.
Yeah, exactly. And back in 2017 days, we're talking about simple vision models, ability to recognize an object in an image, that kind of stuff. And soon after that, we started going into the realm of like pose detection and body segmentation and all that kind of stuff started happening, got more visual, fast forward to today, we can now run diffusion models to do image generation. So I saw a demo from the community using just pure WebGPU implementations where it can generate a 512 by 512 image in the browser on your machine, as long as you've got like a 3090 or something, in under a second. So you can be typing into a text box and it visualizes what you're typing as you're typing, which is incredible. And that's something that, if you're calling a server API, you might be able to do that, but it's going to cost you a lot more money. And also it's going to maybe have times where it's got a bit of a high latency to respond, and it's just not a great UX, right? So,
absolutely.
And on the flip side of that, we've got LLMs coming into the browser now, and a lot of our community externally from other companies as well, the wider Web AI community are also bringing LLMs into the browser. And, 2, 3 to 7 billion parameter models are now running in the browser very fast at high tokens per second.
What have been the initial uses that you've seen for the 7 billion parameter models?
So this is like really cutting edge stuff right now. So I'm actually interested to see where these use cases might be in the next few years. I think we're scraping the very surface that, I didn't know I could even do that on the client side in the browser situation. So people are waking up to the fact that we can do this now. And I think these use cases will start to appear more and more over the next few years. My personal predictions, though, are that you can fine tune these models or distill information from a larger model into a more smaller model so that it's good at a niche task. So maybe you're a legal law firm or something and you want the ability to summarize legal jargon in the way that an average human can understand. So maybe you could have that as a Chrome extension that you then go to some legal PDF or something that's rendered in the Chrome browser, and you could like right click and okay, tell me what this means in plain English rather than all this legal jargon. So you can see how these kinds of tools could evolve quite easily now that we can run these models in the browser, right? So and that's really important in those situations because of privacy as well. It could be a private document. You don't want to upload that to the cloud to be inferring data from it and that kind of stuff. So,
correct. I think that's one of the
so just one example there, but there's plenty of others that could also come in that kind of form too.
Right.
So,
And so on the flip side of that, where do you see this going? Where do you hope it goes?
I hope that web developers start to realize that they've not been left out of this AI revolution either. 70% of the world program in JavaScript, I believe, as of 2022 at least, when I last saw the figures. So that's a significant number of developers out there who use JavaScript. But traditionally, machine learning has been very Python-based due to the academic birthing of machine learning in that area.
Right.
But, just because it started there doesn't mean it has to end there. And I honestly believe that with more developers who are using JavaScript start embracing this, you might even have more ports in JS in the long term. That's my hope to see that happen. And we'll get more people with very creative minds using it, not just for academics and researchers, but they'll take a model and they'll use it in a way you never even thought of before, right? And do something really incredible with it. So I've seen that happening in the past with regular AI models beyond the Gen AI stuff as well. And we've got people using those for like healthcare, remote physiotherapy, that kind of stuff, all in the browser, are able to do that in an automated way that helps the patient in that situation and the doctor for speed and efficiency. So
yeah, that's great. I think we can expect how we applied web application development horizontally through all sorts of different industries, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And do something like that where we're customizing each of these applications and empowering them.
Yes, yeah. So I hope more developers learn the basics so they can start exploring these ideas, because I see when I go give talks around the world, I'll give some examples, but people don't go the extra mile to apply it to their industry. They want to see an example first for their industry. But as one person, I cannot cover every industry out there. So I'm hoping people like yourself and anyone listening today will go try these things out and say, oh, I could actually, if I just tweak that slightly, I could apply this to this other context that you're an expert in and show people the light in that sense. And if people who are the early adopters here have a good chance of being known for that thing in the future. So it'd be very exciting to see.
Cool. And so I think we've touched onto like the uses. What abuses do you see potentially happening?
I mean, there's nothing different here to what you hear in the news, generally speaking, for all of the AI stuff, right? So, I think it'll take time for the Gen AI models and things to be regulated in a way that is applicable to the various use cases going on out there. I think legal and healthcare stuff might take longer to get approved. So we've got a lot of prototypes happening right now, but you need to wait for the approvals to go through before they can be used in production use cases, right? So this can take some time to do that, but we'll get there eventually. And as we learn from these experiences, we can have certain design patterns or preferences on how to implement things and have more explainability for what the model was trained on and how we expect it to behave in certain situations, so you can use it with confidence in the future.
I agree. That kind of visibility, I think, is going to be huge.
So that's, I think, will keep growing naturally as more people get on board and start using it. And
Well, I think that's a wrap.
Awesome.